Hi, everybody. Hi there. Hi, and welcome. My name is Libby, and I have Francis here with us today. And today we're going to have another conversation with Mercredan, this time on cults, coercion, and control, and why cults form, perhaps any karmic lessons or soul agreements around coercion and controlling institutions. And if we have a bit of time, I'd love to also ask Mercredan around what people can do to break free of such situations, or if people have family members, what they can do if that they're worried about that are part of a situation that we're talking about today, what they can do to support their family members if they feel that they're involved. If you like today's content, please give us the thumbs up, give us a like on the video, make sure you subscribe to keep updated with future transmissions like today, and I hope you enjoyed today's event. If you have questions for today's event or any future events that you would like to suggest topics on, please use the comments box and we're happy to look at those when you put them through. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy today's session. Over to you, Francis.
Once again, it is my privilege and pleasure to come and spend these few moments of your time. Everything fits together as a whole. That's obvious, of course, because everything is indeed a unity and a whole expression. And within that form, shall we say, the fields of influence, enough for us to begin our conversation.
Thank you, Mercredan, and thank you for being with us again today. Today, I'd like to talk to you about cults. Now, we've been aware of cults for decades, but I guess with mainstream media, they're becoming more well-known. There's a lot more publicity around them. We've even got Netflix documentaries. Cults are going online rather than just based on location. So we'd like to ask you, why do cults form, and what psychological and spiritual need do they fulfill for their members?
We have talked so recently about the forming of fields of influence. And when one belongs to a field of influence, one automatically determines, can my field of influence affect everything else? And if there are certain other fields of influence that seem in a different realm, then one defines them as, shall we say, objects of division. One sets them apart as what is called your cult. Everyone belongs to a cult of one form or another. Is it a big one? Is it unified within the social arena, or is it exclusive, inclusive? You understand? So shall we say, then you have, shall we call it your government, your politicians, a cult. They are playing within their realm of influence. Or is it what you call the criminals, or is it the police? Is it the religious fanatics? Is it this? Is it that? Always there is this necessary notion. And the cult, of course, accepts anyone who will belong to it, who will adopt its limited conditions. Do you follow what I mean? So if it is the politician, then one's party accepts those that will adopt its ideas and promote that? Is it, shall we say, the pop idols, fans, and so on? Do you understand? All of them are exclusive fields of influence. So, shall we say then, what is the important elements is, can you belong? Are you included? And who else, shall we say, is excluded? Can you be given a certain power, if you like? Is one to be adopted as a family might adopt? Shall we call them often unwanted children? Do you follow what I'm talking about?
I do, thank you. And I think for the purpose of this session, I'd really like to focus on what I guess society refers to as cults that are born from religious fanatics or ideology, and where there are set rules and I guess exclusion or fear-based dogmatic approach to running the cult, where people are either in and then they're locked in, and maybe they're not aware of their freedoms being taken away from them, or they are, but they feel, I guess, imprisoned in some way.
One is then talking about imprisonment. Do you understand? Society likes to imprison those that do not go along with their ideology, their way of thinking. Sometimes it is, shall we say, to protect the wider community, and sometimes it is to protect those that are in powers. Sometimes it is to, shall we say, defend the ideology. Do you understand? So often those that join into what you are calling these specific cults are not accepted in the wider community in ways that they can appreciate. So there is often the idea that the family wishes to bring, shall we say, the member of the cult out of it back into their own field of influence. But it is just as limited, just as controlling and so forth. Do you follow? Those that find their way into cults do so to find their way out of cults. I understand this is not a very pleasant discussion. Do you follow what I mean? I can easily be, shall we say, attacked for such a concept. But you understand, when there is a sense of opportunity, when there is an agreement that everyone has a place and an acceptance into the wider social environment, then you will find less appeal in such limited protective cults. You understand? A group of people get together to defend themselves against the greater whole. You understand? So there is already an ideological battle that is in place. There is not a willingness because societies as such do not promote love, peace, acceptance, agreements, and so on. There is always, shall we say, the nature of isolation. How to control others is to isolate them from the wider agreements. Do you follow what? There are, shall we say, few, if any, society, nation or whatever, that is based on finding the best way for all. There is one group that has an ideology to place over everyone, and another group offers the opposite ideology to place on top of everyone, and no one is looking for the best for all. And so one creates societies with conflicting fields of influence. And when conflicts arise, defense becomes an important quality. And so you have many who are coming together to defend or to present acceptance. Does this make sense?
It does. I get that society still has a lot to learn in order to become more unified and more accepting, but how is it that the fields of influence is just as limited when somebody, or where there are many cults where if you do things like you have to give up your money or you have to give up your freedom, you're not allowed to see your family, you have to work for free, and if you don't do this, you're told that you'll be damned to hell, or when you die, you go to hell and live in a
Of
how's
course. That? Of course, and that is how the defense occurs, isn't it? You understand? Every field of influence is defending itself against the wider concern. So those that join are looking for a leader or an ideology with power to protect from whoever is deemed. You understand? So what is the best way of doing that is to create, shall we call it, an army of the Lord. The Lord, of course, is the ideology. The Lord might be a wide group of people. You understand? You have created all sorts of religions in order to control and set in place those that belong and those that are excluded. Unless you join with the belief, one is going to be sent to the lower regions, one is sinning, one is bound to be sent into hell, as you put it. Do you understand? Whether it is financial hell, whether it is isolated hell, whatever hell you want to impress upon, you either belong to a group or you do not. You understand, even in the fields of influence, in your business community, if you do not drink the favorite drink, you are not going to arrive in heaven. In other words, you will be cast out with all the others who are suffering. Do you understand? That is the message. You need this in order to be happy. Otherwise, you will be suffering. Everything is based on this sense of ideology. Everything then is, in those terms, a cult. If, however, one begins to meditate, one is not held by any of it. There are few, if any, cults that will kill members who walk out of the door. They might not have anything, of course. They are having to leave behind all of the ideology, all of the fears and all of it. They must find first their inner resolve. You cannot force someone to be kind. You cannot force someone to be self-empowered. You cannot force anyone to be confident. Do you follow what I mean? But if they choose any of those, they will see through all of the cults. Do you see what I'm getting at? So when you become self-empowered, when you breathe in and know that you are in the world only for a brief period of time, that you are not separate from the divine itself, that you are and cannot ever be unlovable, then you are free. In other words, when you are free of all cults. You see all of the fields of influence attempting to draw you in from one cult to the next. Do you understand the power that this means?
I do, very much so. And what
you understand? So if someone wants to rescue someone from a cult, first of all, they must offer a better outcome. They must offer something that is more valuable than belonging. They must empower the person to realize that they no longer belong to the cult, that they are no longer believe in the ideology nor the fears or projections that have been placed upon them. Then they become self-empowered.
Interesting. Thank you.
You
So are there,
understand, this is, as always, we try to put it into perspective, because everything is interconnected, interdynamic, interrelated. So the cult as such is a creation of the society it embraces. Do you understand? It was formed out of, shall we say, the failings that society engendered.
so what can we do better to make society better, I guess, so that these things don't happen?
Once society realizes as a field of influence, it is a unity. Every thing that is within it is a creation of it. So when you look at your society and you see there is crime, shall we say, that is the function and creation of the society. And when you see there is, shall we say, harm and all sorts of divisions and so forth, you look at all of those and you begin to see that society created it all. When there is imbalance, there is injustice. This is the challenge that individuals have within society, to bring about their field of influence in order to rebuild. Because, shall we say, when there is suffering, the society suffers. Humankind think that if they personally are not suffering, all is well. But in the end, as unity begins to take place, as the shift in consciousness begins, it becomes increasingly aware, shall we say, that society and nations, that is the communities that build up, make up the society, make up the nations, make up the species, make up the planetary whole, cannot be complete until every single unit, that is every cell, is given its needs. So shall we say the whole shift in consciousness will arise at the speed in which humans are willing to transform.
Interesting. Thank you. So I have a question here around not just cults. I mean, it could apply to a cult of a fanatic kind where someone feels trapped, but also if someone's in a controlling relationship or any types of coercion or control, what advice could you see? Or I mean, actually, what is there any karmic lessons that are around that, or soul agreements that has been brought about for people to be in that, or it differs for everybody?
Of course. Each one has embodied, embraced the reality that they experience by holding ideas. When one transforms the beliefs that sustain the reality, the reality itself transforms without coercion. You understand? You have to do less than change how you consider events, oneself, one's attitudes, and so on. In other words, if one is considers oneself weak, one will be attracted to those that are strong. And those that are strong will dominate those that are weak. Do you understand how that occurs? Of course, there is a marriage of ideals. So it is important then that one takes responsibility for the condition one finds oneself in. And then when there is a shift in the systems and structures and ideas, not only have you a greater sense of personal worth, but you will find you have created support that arrives from many different directions. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So, shall we say, when the old, that is, lifetime resonances have been laid to rest, one has, in fact, shall we say, completed one's karmic tasks. Then whatever is left requires a new being, something to become. You understand? Those that come out of such situations understand what has to be performed on the inner realms.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close off today? In the future, we will talk more about the interactions within the fields of influence and how that builds, shall we say, the ideal of love, which I will call connection. Once again, thank you for your time and your willingness to consider, because whatever words or advice or thoughts that I can share are just that. How you apply them affects yourself, your attitudes, your fields of influence going forward and upwards and outwards towards the integration of the assets of your communities. Thank you, and
Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mercredan. And thank you for those that have tuned in to watch and listen today. If you enjoyed what you watched, please click the like button and subscribe to keep updated. We really do appreciate you joining us and supporting what we're doing here. Delane will be back on Friday, 3 days' time, and she will be talking to Mercredan about what she called the most powerful form of love, which Mercredan has already just briefly addressed in his sign off around, I believe, the ideal of love and connection. So if you're interested in that, please tune in or watch the replay once it's up live. If you've got any questions, feel free to flick us a comment or chat to us online. Our website is channelingmercredan.com. It's channeling with 2 L's because we're New Zealand based, so that's British English. And if you've got any topic ideas, then feel free to share them in the comments box. In the meantime, wish you all a really good day, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. Thanks so much, and bye.